Drivers, start your engine!
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
One last chance down the back straightaway into quarter number 3. It's out of quarter number 4. Looking to drag race back to the start finish line, but no one will catch him as the 77 of Dalton Wicker will pick up the checkered flag.
This is the Hypershift Racing Lead on Peacemaker Gaming.
Rubber burning engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafting on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's a light. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to duke it out here at Rockingham Speedway for what will be another amazing night of racing action here with the Hypershift Racing League. As it looks like somebody here at the Rock forgot to pay the electricity bill. It is dark, it is dusk, and for these drivers, luckily enough, the session will go back to daytime for the start of our feature event here this evening. So it won't be this dark throughout the racing action, but here in this qualifying session, it is definitely dusk out there, as you do see a bunch of these drivers getting done their qualifying attempts. Right now it's Jonathan Cofield with the quick time here in qualifying. Tyler Chronister currently sits in second with Jack Simpson, Adam Boughton, and Gage Wenzel rounding out our top five here in the qualifying session so far here this evening. But we do see the three birdies, number 31 ride of Matt Sisler. Sisler jumps up into third here. So for the three birdies, number 31 ride up and into that third spot here in the qualifying session. That'll move Gage Wenzel out of our top five here on the qualifying grid. And we'll see if this 31 ride can find a little extra speed on lap number 2. Wait for this time to come in. So far, does not look like it is going to move many farther forward. So unfortunately there for Matt Sisler, he will stay in position at number 3. Now we do see Michael Sheffield. He's done his qualifying attempt, as we're still waiting for a few drivers to jump out here. Ryan Chronister, Tommy Pulte, Matt Walters, and John Osborne. Osborne there, unfortunately, has not jumped out onto the racetrack as of yet to lay down a qualifying time. And unfortunately for those 4 drivers, they're running out of time here. Unfortunately, they're not going to get an opportunity to jump out there and lay a lap time down, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to roll here for our main feature event in just a couple more moments. As it is great to be back here. Hypershift Racing League taking last Thursday off for Easter weekend, and now back in action here, back into the battle here on this fine Thursday night. As here we go. Okay, lights are on. They've paid the electricity bill. We'll be ready to rock and roll. We'll be ready to go to battle here in just a couple moments, as drivers are ready to rumble. They are ready to duke it out here in this one. Ooh, doggy, this is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a good show, man. Rockingham, always so fun, always super, super exciting, as I don't know why SDK is having a real hard time right now. I don't know what's going on here with the overlay. Bear with us on that one, chat. The overlay just seems to not want to work right now. See if we can just copy and paste this same file back over here. See if we can get that working. See, it's just not found. Very odd. Say not found. Oh. Come on, overlay. Come on. Load project. So we load a different title, different thing here. So let's see if we can get that changed, or maybe this will actually work. Interesting. Alright, chat, as we're going to get ready to go green flag racing here in just a few more moments. We do apologize. Looks like the overlay is having a
very difficult time working here this afternoon. I don't know why it has not been found or why that does not want to work here this evening. See if we can try a different browser source maybe. Maybe we can kind of get a new one restarted. See if we can get something working here. Oh, not found again. What in the world? All right, well, I don't think we're going to be able to get this working. I was hoping that we would, but for some reason it does not seem like that will work. As here we go. Green flag is in the air, and already you see them stacking up and going around. Unfortunately here, some pretty solid contact from the 24 ride of Jack Simpson. The 99 ride also tied up in that, turned her around, pointed the wrong direction, and our first caution flag is going to fly right out of the get-go here. So unfortunately, already some issues out there on the speedway. Let's take a look back at it as our initial start. And for Chronister, he's starting in position number 2 on the racetrack. So our outside pole sitter, looks like he spins the tires here. Jack Simpson in behind him, nowhere to go. Oh, we do see that 3 birdies, number 31 ride. Matt Sisler also get collected into it. Solid contact there for a couple other drivers, as I believe that's Pulte that gets in there in that beautiful Ford. I'm not too sure who that is. That's the 21 ride of Fred Pennington also getting collected. Let's get another look at it here, another angle as Chronister. Not sure if he gets a little help. Nope, just spins the tires. Spins the tires, car pulls down to the outside fence right there, and unfortunately Jack Simpson just nowhere to go. All of a sudden has a car basically parked in the fence right in front of him. Really solid contact there for that 24 ride. You're also going to see Gage Wenzel and that 33 ride all get some pretty solid contact and damage out of that as well, as they drive through a couple of those drivers as they're getting going here. Damage to the front end, back end of the 36 and the 33 ride. You do see Kent Mueller. He's going to get some damage into that, as well as Pennington and the number 26 of Pulte all getting tied up in that, all getting some pretty good damage. So right off our initial green flag, unfortunately some issues and quite a bit of damage for a bunch of these drivers, and that's going to put a lot of these cats down pit side looking to get some service here. We do see Dylan Husos down there, Tyler Chronister, Kent Mueller, Ryan Chronister, Pennington, Pulte. They're all down pit side here trying to get their cars repaired and back into the action here this evening, as out in front, our race leader is this number 58 rider, Jonathan Cofield. Cofield started in that pole position, and he's able to hang on to it there. Got a good restart, got a good solid launch, and did not spin the tires, and he was able to avoid any of that carnage on the opening lap here this evening, as Gage Wenzel will now be scored in position number 2. Adam Belton back in 3rd with Dwayne Furtick in position number 4. Back in position number 5 in the 39 ride, that is Dallas Humans. And then we see the Stance Built 56 of Richard Wolsifer. Wolsifer in position number 6 there on the speedway. Getting ready to go back. The green flag racing is right behind them. You do see the 25 of Gavin Grubbs, the 3 of Brandon Warlick, the 15 of Brian Kings back in 9th, and rounding at our top 10 now on the speedway is that 40 ride of Doug Denise. Starting back in position number 11 will be the 18 of Michael Carter. To his outside is the Tiny Toe 77 of Dalton Wicker. Connor Fuge, Mason Tucker, Anthony Ludi, Jeff Carson, Matt Sisler, Michael Sheffield there in 18th. Jack Simpson now scored back in the 19th spot on the speedway, with Drew King there to his outside in 20th. Corey Denk, Ryan Chronister, Dylan Huso, Kent Mueller, Tommy Pulte, Fred Pennington, Tyler Chronister bringing up the rear of the field out there on the speedway. And unfortunately here, I do believe for Tommy Pulte, Fred Pennington, and Tyler Chronister, they're all one lap down now early in this race. But here we go, back to racing action here this time. Good restart. Everyone's able to keep their car pointing in the right direction, at least down through the first lap so far. And it looks like down out of corner number 4, everyone's able to keep on rolling. Everyone stays pointing in the right direction, and we get our first green flag lap completed here this evening as Gage Wenzel is going to jump up and take that race lead away from Jonathan Cofield. So Cofield held on to it there for those 3 or 4 caution laps, led a lap there for green flag racing, and then all of a sudden Gage Wenzel just jumps up on top his seat here, even with a little bit of damage from that caution flag and from that earlier race incident. The Tom's Tasty Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches. Number 36 jumps out in front and will now have the race lead here at the beautiful Rockingham Speedway. But right there, sticking with them, that 58 rider Cofield does not want to let him run away with it. And here comes that number 51 ride, Dwayne Furtick, not too far off their back bumper is Adam Boughton there in 4th, and Brandon Warlick rounding out our top 5 out there on the Speedway. Gavin Grubbs is in 6th with Richard Wolsifer, Ryan King, Michael Carter, and Mason Tucker rounding out our top 10 here on the Speedway. As Dallas Humans falls back into 11th, and you take a look back at a few of those drivers that started up towards the front that got tied up in that first caution flag of the day. You look at Jack Simpson here, and now we do see, I believe that's Connor Fuge, hard contact up into the outside fence here for the Dr. Stone, that rig machine. Unfortunately now with some really heavy right front damage, see him bounce off the wall a couple more times down the front straightaway, and unfortunately you have to imagine that there is a lot of heavy right front damage, and it may just continue to get worse and worse and worse here for that 14 machine, and it may be another early trip down pit side for Connor Few, just hoping to see a caution flag fly and not a green flag run that's going to put him potentially down pit road during the green flag conditions here this evening, are falling a couple laps down out there on the racetrack before making that first pit stop. Is out in front, it's his teammate Gage Wenzel who continues to lead the way here. Wenzel out in front, Cofield's right there in second, and already a second and a bit back behind Jonathan Cofield is that 51 of Dwayne Furtick. So a pretty good gap here for our top 2 out there on the racetrack, but is it by design? Are they just trying to run away? Are they trying to build up a big enough lead here as quickly as possible? Or potentially, are we seeing some of those drivers like Furtick, Boughton, Warlick, some of these guys maybe being a little less aggressive here, maybe letting the race kind of come to them a little bit more, hoping that the tires work into their favor later in the run, and that way they can kind of chip away at that race lead slowly but surely, wear down that gap and drive up here, make some moves, and try to work their way up and around Wenzel and Cofield for the top 2 spots out there on the racetrack. As Gage continues to hold on to that top spot, as a lot of other drivers are trying to inch their way back towards the front here. You do see Matt Sisler. He's able to work his way back around that 24 of Jack Simpson. Simpson does fall back into that 15th spot here on the Speedway. You can still see quite a bit of right front damage on that 24 ride as he does get up into the outside fence there on corner exit as well, and that's going to be the big thing here this evening. A lot of these drivers are going to run into these issues, man. That corner exit, especially out of corner number 2, can definitely jump up, take a bite out of you, and put you into a really massive hole here early on in this race. You gotta mind your P's and Q's. You gotta not try to get up into that outside fence if you want to survive here at The Rock this afternoon. If you want to have a shot at an opportunity to try to put yourself up into victory lane later in this race, you just gotta make sure you keep yourself out of trouble, as unfortunately I believe our SDK live timing is still messed up here. I don't know what's going on with it. It is not found. How is it not found? I don't understand. How it's not found. trying to get the overlay to work here, chat. We're trying to get to work. Do not get why it is not going. Intriguing. All right. Well, unfortunately, we still don't have our overlay. I don't know why. It just does not want to work here this afternoon. You can see in the top left it says not found. I don't understand how it's not found. So I believe this is in a back-end issue on SDK's servers. I don't know how to fix that or how to get that to work. I'd have to join in on their Discord and see if anyone else is having that same problem or not, and I'm not 100% sure if they are or aren't, so bear with us here. We'll see if we get a caution flag. We may restart it and see if that will fix it, if that will get it to actually work for us, but as of right now, it looks like we're just going to have to rock and roll with no overlay, unfortunately. Is out in front, it's still Gage Wenzel. Wenzel continues to lead the way here with Cofield right there on his back bumper. Dwayne Furtick's back there in third, just a second or so back behind these guys. And then we do see Boughton still in fourth, and now we do see the 56 rider, Richard Wolsifer. Wolsifer up and into position at number 5 here on the Speedway as Warlick falls back into 6. Gavin Grubbs working his back bumper in that beautiful Victory Fuel B main podcast number 25 right there in that 7th position with Michael Carter, Dalton Wicker, and Brian King rounding out our top 10 as the top tattoo ride rolls there in that 10th spot on the Speedway. Matt Sisler, who we saw get tied up, got some pretty solid damage there out of that initial start of the race where we saw the pile up at the front of the field in our first caution flag of the day, and now luckily enough he's going to avoid the second caution flag of the day, as well as it looks like Drew King in the United States Postal Service number 34, the one ride of Michael Sheffield, also going to get it tied up here in this one as another caution flag out there on the racetrack. And I believe we may see this 34 ride just push up the racetrack right here. Unfortunately, get a bad exit at corner number 2. Bounces off the outside fence, bounces into the one right of Sheffield, and unfortunately both of those drivers are going to go for a couple loop-de-loops out there on the Speedway. And man, I do believe the 8 right of Kent Mueller are going to get a good piece of it as well. Looks like he does end up getting some pretty solid damage as he drives into that 34 ride, but good contact here for both Sheffield, Drew King, and the 8 right of Kent Mueller, but that is going to put us under the caution flag here for the second time this afternoon. So our second yellow flag of the evening, and now for each and every one of these drivers, they'll get an opportunity here to either head down pit road, trying to make some good moves, maybe see if they can get some extra fuel or extra tires or something that may work into their favor here and into their strategy to help try to race their way up into victory lane. And now here we go. It does look like Gage Wenzel is going to come down pit road. So is in Furtick, Boughton, Wolsifer, Warlick, but we do see Jonathan Cofield. He's going to stay out. So isn't Gavin Grubbs. So far, 2 drivers going to elect to stay out here, not work their way down pit side, as everyone else makes pit stops here this evening. And unfortunately for any of the Matt Walters fans in the stands here, Matt has not joined this race as of yet. Either has the 11 rider John Osborne. So Osborne also not out there on the Speedway. So we'll have to wait and see if those guys join the fun here this evening and get in on the action. But as of right now, it is Cofield and Grubbs 1 and 2. Gage Wenzel will win the race off of pit road. He'll bring that Tom Stacy Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches number 36 ride out and now in the third position here on the speedway. So goes from having the race lead to now restarting back in that third position as the 16 ride of Mason Tucker, Dalton Wick are going to come out, rounding out our top 5. As bear with us here as we're going to quickly try and get this overlay to work. Now, I'm not too sure how we're going to be able to do this. I'm going to see if I can minimize this, close out of the live timing, see if we can load back into it, see if that actually works or not here. Not sure if it's going to. I'm hoping that it does. Okay, well, I don't know why they decided to throw it up there. Oh, gosh. So hopefully this actually works. Not sure if it will, but I'm really hoping that it does. No, it still says file not found. What in the world? Alright, so the overlay, we refreshed it, and that file not found thing is gone, but did that work? Maybe that tricked it? I don't know. I don't understand how it's not working. It's driving me crazy, though. We love having that up there for you guys, so that you guys know exactly where these drivers are out there on the speedway. Obviously, when technology does not want to work with us, not much that we can do. That's just gonna unfortunately not work here tonight, chat. Unfortunately. That is such a weird thing. I have no idea why that is not working. Alright, well, nonetheless, we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here as Cofield out in front has Gavin Grubbs to his outside here for our second restart of the evening. Now, our initial start, we saw issues. We saw a tire spin. We saw, obviously, the 99 rider Tyler Chronister go around to bring out the first caution flag before we barely even made it past the start-finish line for the first time here this evening. And we're going to see it happen again. There it is. Oh, no. Grubbs going to run into the same issue as we saw the 99 ride on the initial start of this feature event. Dang near identical issues here as you're going to watch that B-Main podcast ride just spin the tires. Unfortunately, bounces off the fence and ends up collecting another driver there as well. Same thing happened on the initial start with the number 24 ride right in behind Chronister. Unfortunately for Jack Simpson, he got tied up and tore up in this as well. Let's take a look at it. There we go. Bang, bang, bang. And then everyone else trying to get through there. Unfortunately, looks like Ludi and Michael Carter both going to get some damage into that as well. And let's take a look back at this and take a look at it again. And you guys tell me, I mean, this looks exactly like our initial start of this feature event. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, though. Oh, man. Heartbreaker there. Good amount of damage for a bunch of these cars. Another restart on the horizon now. And obviously for the 25 ride of Mr. Gavin Grubbs, he's going to need some heavy repairs here. He's going to need to get that car checked up and try to get some work done to it. So isn't Michael Carter. You see that left front damage there for that number 18 ride. Obviously, there's damage for Mr. Ludi as well as he'll head down to his pit stall as he's got that right front damage. He'll hit into his box here. Already see Sheffield down there looking to get more repairs. See a bunch of these drivers trying to get their cars fixed up back into some pretty decent racing condition and back out there onto the speedway. But that is going to put Cofield now down pit side. So Cofield decides, okay, you know what? That one restart was good enough. I'm going to come down pit road. I'm going to make sure I'm good on fuel. And I'm going to hop right back out there and try to get right back into the action here this evening. So, a bit of an interesting one there for Cofield and for a lot of these drivers because, man, Twice that's happened. Now, luckily enough for the 16 ride of Mason Tucker, looks like Tucker is going to keep his position here. He's going to stay in that, technically was the third spot, but now the second spot after we saw Cofield come down pit side. But for Tucker, doesn't look like too much damage there for that 16 machine. He'll keep on battling. He'll keep on duking it out there on the speedways. Out in front, Gage Wenzel leads the way with Mason Tucker there in second. Dalton Wicker in position number 3. And Dwayne Furtick there in position number 4. Adam Boughton, Corey Dank, Richard Wolsifer, Brandon Warlick, Brian King, Doug Denise, our top 10 out there on the speedway. Dylan Huso, Matt Sisler, Jeff Carson, Dallas Humans, Jonathan Cofield, our top 15 with Jack Simpson, Ryan Chronister, Ken Mueller, Tommy Pulte, Fred Pennington rounding out our top 20 here on the racetrack. Then we do see Drew King, Michael Carter, Connor Fuge, Anthony Ludi, Gavin Grubbs, Tyler Chronister, who's still a lap down, or actually multiple laps down back there in 26. And it looks like for Michael Sheffield, he's taking his car down and off the racing surface and potentially out of this race here this afternoon. As here we go, back to green flag racing this time. Everyone is able to keep their car pointing the right direction there for the restart. No tire spin, but now hang on to it. Mason Tucker with a slide. He washes all the way up the racetrack. Hard contact into that outside fence there for Mason Tucker. And now they're going to get stacked up down the back straightaway. Oh, brother, they're all going to just keep piling in here. Big one down into corner number 3. Oh, brother. Woo, doggy. Okay, well, there is a lot that happens here. Obviously, we saw Tucker. Let's take a look back here at the slide he had down and through corner number 1 and 2. Just sent it in there deep, and maybe that damage he had gotten throughout that last caution flag may have just affected this race car. And then you just see him get loose, wash up the racetrack, takes the outside fence, and then as everyone else kind of drives in here, he's trying to stay up and out of the way. And it looks like Doug Denise kind of pulling up to his back bumper here. Denise tries to maybe get checked up a little bit, tries to slow down ever so slightly here for that 16 ride. I'm not sure if he didn't see a hole or a gap to try to go 3 wide to get around him, and then ends up just following in line right here. So he doesn't really move to the left and kind of just stays behind the 16 ride. And as obviously Tucker's getting into the fence, he's trying to stay out of the way of these guys. He knows they're going with speed. I believe you're going to see a couple of these drivers. I believe it's Humans who kind of gets in here, sees him checking up, and he goes for the middle. And as he does, he just pulls down the racetrack and maybe just a little too far, ends up clipping that 24 ride. Jack Simpson, that's going to put the 39 up and into the outside fence on the lap of Doug Denise. The 24 up into the outside wall on the nose of the 16 right of Mason Tucker. You see Ryan Chronister, he's going to get collected into it as well, and then he washes down the racetrack. He collects the 21 right of Pennington, and you see the 16 ride. He comes down the racetrack and collects the 8 ride of Kent Mueller. Man, Mueller's car has just been kind of a magnet here this evening. He's got a lot of damage, a lot of tore up race car there for that 8 ride. But man, a lot of these drivers just trying to keep themselves out of some of the carnage, trying to get checked up or trying to avoid it. And unfortunately, it just finds you so darn quick out there on the racetrack. And unfortunately here for a lot of drivers, I mean, they're going to have some tore up race cars here now. It all starts here with the 16 getting checked up, obviously going for a slide. Then the 40 ride checks up for the 16 ride, and then Humans down the racetrack collects the 24. Then everyone else kind of piles into it, and a lot of drivers get some pretty tore up race cars again. Here's another quick caution flag here in this one, as that Rob Bieber says, man, that was a lot of wrecking. He says that was definitely a lot of wrecking. There was a lot going on right there, and unfortunately a lot of tore up race cars, a lot of vented sheet metal, and for each and every one of these drivers, now it's another restart on the horizon, another restart, another opportunity. But that also brings in another issue, because you've seen these restarts kind of wreak havoc and kind of have some bad runs here. A lot of drivers making mistakes. We'll have to wait and see if we can get some good green flag laps under our belt again as the 36 of Gage Wenzel gets the restart he was hoping for. He just hoping to keep everyone back there at bay. Is now hang on to it. That's Dwayne Furtick in the 51 ride. He washes down the racetrack. Hard contact into the inside fence here. And I believe no caution flag. It stays clean and green. Heartbreaker here for Dwayne Furtick. But you see that heavy left front damage here on the Logitech Dell number 51 ride. Let's go back to that restart and watch this 51 machine because he restarted in position number 3. Did not get an awful restart here, but you see, the outside lane gets a really good jump. The Tiny Toes rides both able to stay in front of the 51. Now he's got Warlick on his back bumper as they head down through corner number 1 and 2. It looks like maybe he gets a little helping hand here, maybe a little love nudge from that 3 machine of Warlick. See if we get another look at it here, because Warlick's right there. And I believe maybe on corner exit, you're going to see the 3 riders get a good run and a good exit. And I believe right here, this is where we're going to see it. Boom. Gets into that back bumper, kind of jacks up the 51 ride, helps him go around and shoots him down into the infield fence here. And pretty solid contact right there for that Dark Trace Camaro ride. And unfortunately, does not get a caution flag. It stays clean and green, and unfortunately now for Dwayne Furtick, he's had to make a emergency green flag pit stop, and having to make that pit stop, that has unfortunately put him, I believe, a lap down out there on the racetrack. Actually, no, he has not come down pit road, so the car doesn't look like it's got that much damage, but that could just be playing a trick on us here, because he definitely got into that inside fence pretty solidly. You got to imagine that left front's got some pretty solid damage to it, some tire damage as well, and obviously steering wise definitely not going to help him out too much. As Gage Wenzel, though, Wenzel out in front, continues to have the race lead here as Dalton Wicker back there at bay in position number 2 here for the 77 ride. He's up 16 positions on the speedway and hoping to pick up another one to try to put himself to the front of the field as Brandon Warlick rolls back there in that 3rd position. Corey Denk in position number 4. Richard Wolsifer there in 5th with Adam Boughton, Dylan Huso, Matt Sisler, Brian King and Jack Simpson all racing their way back up inside the top 10 out there on the speedway. Great to see Jack still able to keep on rolling, keep on battling here this evening after getting, tied up in a couple of those caution flags, a couple of those issues. Luckily enough, able to keep on duking it out, though, here in this one as Jonathan Cofield right there behind him in that beautiful Shoko Springs number 58 ride there in that 11th position on the speedway. Jeff Carson right there behind him in position number 12 with Michael Carter, Anthony Ludi, and Fred Pennington running at our top 15. Tommy Pulte, Drew King, Gavin Grubbs, they were in 18th with Dallas Humans, and Ryan Cronister running at the top 20. Dwayne Furtick back in 21st, and I believe for Furtick, him and Connor Fuge are they're the last 2 drivers on the lead lap out there on the speedway. And you see the damage still on this 14 ride of Connor Fuge. So Fuge could potentially go a lap down here in a quick hurry, as we do see Tyler Cronister a lap down back there in 23rd. Actually, yeah, he is 2 laps down, I believe, back in 23rd. So tough break there for Tyler Cronister. Doug Denise a few laps down there in 24th. Mason Tucker, he's a handful of laps down here, about 9-10 laps down there in 25th. Kent Mueller still parked down pit side here. Sheffield already done for the day, and Matt Walters and John Osborne have not joined the field yet here this evening. So started technically 27, took the green flag. We had 29 loaded into the sim, and it seems like we got at least 2 that have not started and are probably not going to run here this afternoon, and 2 that may be completely done this evening as well, with Kent Mueller and Sheffield both parked down pit side or behind pit wall early here in this feature event. As out in front, the number 36 of Gage Wenzel, nice and easy down across start finish line here. He'll complete lap number 50 here this evening. So 50 laps down, 150 more laps left to go, and obviously a lot of carnage, a lot of tore up race cars still left to be had here this evening. Still lots of time to tear your stuff up and put yourself into a difficult position out there on the speedway here this evening. So if you want to try to have a chance, try to give yourself an opportunity to win this race, what you got to do is just keep yourself clean and green out there and not put yourself into the outside fence or into a position where you could get tore up and tied up and some other issues out there, and unfortunately find yourself down pit side for an extended period of time trying to get some heavy repairs done to your race car. And for right now, Gage Wenzel, he's sitting pretty out in front, hoping to keep that 77 of Dalton Wicker back there at bay as they start the battle for position number 3, as it looked like Richard Wolsifer trying to take position number 3 away from the 3 ride of Brandon Warlick, and it looks like at a corner number 4, he will make that pass and move that stance build. Number 56, Richard Wolsifer, up and into position number 3 on the speedway. Brandon Warlick back in 4th, and Corey Dank rounding out our top 5 here this evening. As let's see if we get this dang overlay to work here again, chat. I just don't understand why it's not working. Not found. I do not get that. I do not understand why it says not found. It literally worked for me last night. So I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know what's going on with this, chat. Not found is very interesting. It's the first time I've ever seen that pop up. It's the first time I've seen this issue. Most of the time, if it just doesn't work, it doesn't work. But now it just is not found there as well, which is very odd. Very, very odd. We'll have to look into that. We do apologize for not having the overlay up for you guys to see. But out in front, it's Gage Wenzel. Wenzel continues to lead the way here. Wenzel's out in front. I wonder if we could try something a little different here. Nope, that did not work either. Alright, well that worked. But it doesn't show any of the times on it. That doesn't work. Still not gonna work. So stupid. All right, no overlay still, no overlay. I guess we're just not going to have that here tonight, unfortunately, Chad. Is out in front. Gage Wenzel continues to lead the way. Wenzel's got the top spot. Dalton Wicker is there in position number 2. Richard Wolsifer there in third with Adam Boughton and Matt Sisler rounding out our top 5 here on the Speedway. Jack Simpson back in position number 6 here now for the 24 ride. He's got tied up and turned around in a couple of those caution flags. Now, luckily enough, able to rebound nicely here, and for the Canadian out there on the Speedway has raced his way up and into the top 10 here again, sitting in that 6th position, hoping to work his way up inside the top 5 here again this evening, as he's there right on the doorstep in that 6th position. As the 7 ride, the Tiny Toes machine, that 7 car of Corey Dank in position number 7 out there on the racetrack, as Brandon Warlick back behind him as Cofield looking to make his way around that number 3 ride, and you can move Jonathan Cofield now up into 8th as Warlick falls back to 9th. Brian King there in 10th with Dylan Huso, Anthony Ludi, Fred Pennington, Jeff Carson, and Tommy Pulte rounding out our top 15 here on the Speedway. But everybody is chasing down the 36th ride of Gage Wenzel as Wenzel continues to lead the charge here. The 36th ride out in front. He's feeling A-okay. He's feeling real fine here at the front of the field, and he's starting to run into maybe a little bit of lap traffic here. This is the number 19 ride, who's got some pretty solid front end damage on that Xfinity mobile machine, Ryan Chronister, and Ryan is unfortunately potentially about to be the next driver to go a lap down out there on the Speedway. The Safe Light number 40 ride that he's battling with, Doug Denise. Denise is already a few laps down out there on the Speedway. He's at risk of going another lap down here in a quick hurry, as everybody continue to battle hard here, continue to put on a great run for us as we went back to green flag racing around lap number 38, 39, and it's been non-stop green flag battling ever since then. So a pretty solid green flag run here for each and every one of these drivers, and it could start to bring into that question mark, when will we see these guys have to come down pit road? Will it not only be for fuel, but could be for tires out there on the Speedway as well? This is kind of the longest green flag run we've had all afternoon. So for each and every one of these drivers, they're starting to get into that no man land where they don't really know what these tires are going to do, how their cars are going to handle, and what kind of a position that's going to put them in here later in this race. So we do see Connor Fuge back down pit road here as well for that Dr. Stone number 14 ride. So he heads down pit road. He's going to get some work and service done to that 14 machine. Kent Mueller also still down pit side there in that number 8 ride, as out in front continuing to lead the charge, man, is that 36 of Gage Wenzel. But Dalton Wicker trying to hang there with them. You do see a few more of these drivers starting to race their way up towards the front here, with Richard Wolsifer there in third. He's trying to draw them in. So is an Adam Boughton, and that 31 ride of Matt Sisler. Sisler, another driver who started up here towards the front of the field, got tied up in that first caution flag of the day on our opening start of the feature event, where we saw Tyler Chronister go around Jack Simpson, and Matt Sisler got some pretty solid damage in that wreck. Got tore up, got turned around, and unfortunately both went from starting up inside the top 10 to all of a sudden starting back at the rear of the field, and some damage on their race cars. But they've battled back nicely now into that 5th and 6th position out there on the Speedway, as Gage Wenzel does see another driver. Oh, we do see our first cat coming down pit side here, Tommy Pulte. It looks like Pulte, unscheduled green flag pit stop here for Pulte. You do see that damage on the right front here of that snow belt number 26 ride, that snow belt IND number 26 ride. Heavy right side damage here. A tore up right front tire. You can see how the bearing in that is all busted up and just not turning that wheel the way it should, and he'll hit his pit stall. The crew will go to work and try to get that fixed up. Unfortunately for Tommy Pulte, he may be down pit road here for an extended period of time, and unfortunately he's falling multiple laps down out there on the racetrack. So we do see another driver fall a lap down out there as well. That is Mason Tucker, who loses a another lap out there on the speedway for Tucker. We saw him, up towards the front there, battling at the front of the field. A little bit of different tire strategy. He got tore up, tied up into the outside fence, then turned around right there into corner number 3. Ended up with some very solid front end damage there of that 16 ride, and unfortunately now just trying to hang on to it, hoping for some more yellows and more opportunities to get down pit side and get this thing worked on. Unfortunately, the longer this green flag run continues, the more and more laps he continues to lose out there on the racetrack. Is out in front, it is Gage Wenzel. Wenzel now with almost a 0.8 of a second, working on a 1 second lead between himself and Dalton Wicker. So you do see that lead starting to grow ever so slightly here between the 36 and that 77 ride. Unfortunately for Wicker, he is seeing that 56 of Richard Wolsifer slowly but surely reel into his back bumper, and the heat is on back here for position number 4. Matt Sisler able to take 4th away from Adam Boughton. Now you see Jack Simpson. He'll work down to the inside of the 94 ride. He's looking to jump into position number 5 here again on the speedway, and here comes Sisler. He wants to quickly work his way around Wolsifer here for position number 3, trying to race his way up inside the top 3 here this evening, and right back to where he started this feature event in that 3rd position. As Emma says, whoop whoop, let's go number 36, cheering on Mr. Gage Wenzel here this evening as Wenzel still out in front, still leading the charge here as 79 laps completed here next time by the start-finish line. They will complete lap number 80 as you do see the 14 of Connor Fuge. Fuge going to rejoin the field here. He's gotten that car fairly fixed back up, and he's going to jump back into the action, jump back into the party here this evening, and just see if he can get some good laps in here, a good learning experience, and hope that he can, kind of get something in his notebooks for the next time that we head here to Rockingham Speedway that he can use to his advantage to try to advance himself forward and maybe into a better run, better position here than what he found himself early on in this feature event, as the 14 ride now finds himself about 22 laps down out there on the speedway, and just definitely not a fun spot to be. Kent Mueller still down pit side here. I'm not sure if we'll see Kent jump back out there onto the racetrack, but we do see obviously Mason Tucker, Tommy Pulte. Looks like Pulte's stuck in his car down behind pit wall, so for Tommy Pulte, he is done for the day as he's stuck in that thing back down behind pit wall and off the speedway. So if you are Mason Tucker or Connor Fuge, I mean, you run a good chunk of change here, another couple laps for Mason Tucker and a few more laps for Connor Fuge. I mean, that's an extra spot that they could pick up and at least salvage an extra point there and at least get something out of the day here a little bit better than what you may have if you just parked your race car out there on the racetrack and didn't continue on battling here this evening. So every one of those points, every single position may be a huge difference maker late in this season for who's going to advance into our playoffs and who is not, as you do see Gage Wenzel still trying to work his way through some lap traffic. Wicker right there with him, trying to navigate through it as quickly as he can, as Matt Sisler has chased down this number 77 ride, and Sisler looking to try to make that move for position number 2 here. Unfortunately for Wicker, I'm not sure if he's going to have anything left in the tank to try to hold off this 3 birdies number 31 machine or that 24 of Jack Simpson, as Simpson looking to try to work his way up into the top 3 here, hoping to try to battle with this teammate Gage Wenzel maybe for the race win here this evening, as we do see Dwayne Furtick. Furtick's battled his way back into the hunt at the front here as the 51 ride now back inside our top 10 here on the speedway. Now he's battling with a couple lap down cars, trying to work his way around Ryan Chronister and hoping to go up, and after that number 95 ride of Anthony Ludy, as Anthony currently sits in position number 9 out there on the speedway, as Fred Pennington back there in 11th, Brandon Warlick's in position number 12. Brian King, Jeff Carson, Michael Carter are top 15 out there on the speedway, with Dallas Humans, Drew King, Dylan Huso, the 25 ride of Gavin Grubb scored back in 19th. Ryan Chronister's there in 20th. Tyler Chronister's back in 21st with Doug Denise. Mason Tucker in 23rd. Tommy Pulte off the racetrack, down pit side here and off of the speedway for the number 26. Pulte, unfortunately, parked it here for this evening. Connor Fuge there in 25th, but does have an opportunity to leapfrog the 26th ride, at least earn another point here as Kent Mueller still down pit side. Michael Sheffield has retired for the evening as Matt Walters and John Osborne have not jumped out onto the speedway yet here this evening. But out in front, we do see Matt Sisler and Jack Simpson both able to work their way around Dalton Wicker. Wicker actually falls all the way back into 5th here as Corey Denk in his Tiny Toes number 7 ride battles his way back up into that 4th spot on the speedway. He's hoping to chase down our race leader and kind of follow right in the tire tracks here of Matt Sisler and Jack Simpson and maybe try to steal those extra couple spots, see if he can put this 7 ride out in front of the field and leading the charge. But right now, man, for Gage Wenzel, he is not having a great time as he looks up into his rearview mirror. He sees this number 31 of Sisler and that 24 of Jack Simpson, his teammate, I'm sure talking to him in the Discord saying, hey brother, we are coming and we got a lot of speed, so look out for the freight train. And here they come as Sisler right down low through corner 1 and 2 will slide up and steal that top spot. And you do see Jack Simpson able to work his way around the 36 as well up and into position number 2. So unfortunately here for Gage Wenzel, he falls back now into that 3rd spot on the speedway, and he may have his hands full here a lot sooner than he's anticipating as Corey Denk right there ready to pounce as well and looking to try to work his way up and onto the podium here today as Adam Boughton, Daniel Wicker, or Dalton Wicker, Jonathan Cofield in position number 7, Richard Wolsifer back in position number 8, Anthony Ludi and Dwayne Furtick round out our top 10. Now our 10th place driver here with Dwayne Furtick and our 9th place driver there, Anthony Ludi, as they head down across the line. They complete lap number 92 here this evening, but they do find themselves about 10 seconds back of our race leaders, 10 seconds behind our new race leader, the 24 of Jack Simpson. Oh, baby. So Simpson jumps out in front, man. It seems like the drivers that were maybe a little bit more cautious, a little bit easier on tires early on here throughout these runs have found their way now back out in front as Jack Simpson, Matt Sisler, Corey Denk at 1, 2, and 3. Gage Wenzel slides back now into position number 4, and quickly as Adam Boughton, Dalton Wicker, Cofield, all trying to chase him down and move that Tom Stacy Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches number 36 ride even farther back in the field. It's out in front, though. It is this beautiful number 24 rider, Jack Simpson, who's got the race lead, who continues to try to hold these drivers back there at bay as the Maxim Motorsports number 24 ride out in front, looking pretty here this evening. Now, this says Maxim Motorsports. I'm not sure if that's an organization or if that's something completely different, as I know normally him and a couple of these other drivers are teammates, so I'm not sure what's going on there with that. They normally are teammates. We'll have to wait and see. The call is there. We'll try this overlay again. It still says not found, which I don't understand why. Stupid. Stupid SDK, chat. Stupid SDK. Do not understand why it does not want to work. Nonetheless, we keep on battling. We keep on duking it out. Jack Simpson continues to lead the charge here with Matt Sisler, Corey Denk, our top 3. Adam Boughton's now worked his way up and into position number 4 as Gage Wenzel sits back here in that 5th position as we're starting to see more and more drivers start to work their way down pit road here. Dylan Huso now down pit side getting work done to the number 33 machine as he'll get some service and tires done to his race car. We do see see Mason Tucker in the 16 ride. He's down pit side here. Now, I'm not sure if this is getting damaged or repaired or if he's going to be down here for an extended period of time, but nonetheless, Mason Tucker down pit road, getting some extensive damage and obviously some big changes done to that number 16 ride, and unfortunately during green flag conditions, that's going to put him even farther back there throughout the field. But for Jack Simpson down across the line here, he completes lap number 100. So 100 laps completed, 100 laps left to go here as we officially hit our halfway point here this evening from Rockingham Speedway as Jack Simpson leads us here at that halfway marker. Now we do see Jonathan Cofield headed down pit side in that Showco Springs number 58 machine. Michael Carter also down pit side in the Discount Tire 18 ride. Now here comes Gage Wenzel on lap 101. He'll hit pit road. He looks to get some tires and fuel onto this Tom Stacy Taters and Walleye Fish Sandwiches number 36. Ryan Dallas Humans going to follow him down pit side here as 39 Ryan will hit his pit stall. Now we see Cofield done his pit stop, rolling back out onto the racing surface. And for all these drivers, man, this is going to be interesting. Obviously, these green flag pit stops could really make or break your afternoon as you can easily go a lap or 2 laps down out there on the speedway making these green flag pit stops. And if you do go a couple laps down, it could trap you back there. Even if you take a wave around or get a lucky dog, you may still find yourself 2 laps down out there on the speedway with an untimely caution flag. So for the 24 ride of Jack Simpson, he's just hoping to see something happen here. Wants to see a caution flag because that would eliminate a ton of his competition here throughout this run. But for the 24, man, what a solid drive here for Jack Simpson as he now finds himself out in front here by about 2.7 seconds. He is pulled away from Corey Denk and Matt Sisler. Sisler has fallen back into that 3rd position. He's struggling pretty hard right now in that 3 birdies number 31, trying to get around some of this lap traffic, and unfortunately kind of just stuck back here in that 3rd position, now under fire from the new tires of that 36 of Mr. Gage Wenzel. So more and more of these green flag pit stops and more of these drivers are going to find themselves in some tight positions out there on the speedway. But for the 24 ride of Jack Simpson, he's just got the point, man. He's out front. He's continued to run some laps, continue to click these laps off as we do see Anthony Ludi now making his way down pit road. But you got to imagine for Jack Simpson, he was down pit side on lap number 32. Now we did see a few caution flag laps in that time frame, and obviously a couple quick restarts there after that initial yellow back on lap number 26, 27-ish area that kind of ended that first long green flag run. But this run much longer, and for these drivers, they've been rolling now for almost 70 laps of green flag racing here during this run. And you got to imagine that the fuel is getting real low here for these guys, but this is a good testament to not only see what the tires will do on the very long run, but what they'll do here for some of those other drivers on the shorter run, trying to maybe leapfrog and get a huge advantage once our race leaders come down pit road, and kind of shuffling them back there even farther at bay here this afternoon. Now you take a look at drivers like Jonathan Cofield, who came down pit road back on lap 100, Adam Boughton on lap 103. Gage Wenzel will pit it back on lap 101. Now there came down pit road right there around that lap 100 marker, and we'll have to wait and see where they kind of are in comparison with Jack Simpson, as Simpson continues to keep them all back there at bay, at least a lap or 2 laps down for the most part for these guys back behind him. But for Jack Simpson, man, it is all the goal. They're trying to keep them, multiple laps down out there on the racetrack to really work them into a huge benefit here later throughout this run. And if there is a untimely caution flag, could really put them into a good position, as we do see Dwayne Furtick. Furtick has made his green flag pit stop. He'll roll back out onto the speedway as Furtick comes down pit side there on lap 108. And we're starting to see some more of our final drivers head down pit side. Here comes Dalton Wicker. Here comes Jack Simpson. So Wicker and Simpson both head down pit road, and both looking to get some changes done to their race cars. Obviously, fuel, tires, and everything else that they desire. But taking a look at that run, they virtually ran, I'm going to say, about 80 laps, but there were a few caution laps in there. I think these guys are still going to be short of being able to make it here to the checkered flag without having to make an additional pit stop. I feel like at this pace and how hard these guys are running, you're still going to have to make at least one more potential green flag pit stop later in this feature event, and it's all going to come down to, you know, when do you use those tires? When do you use them to your advantage to try to put yourself into a good spot out there on the speedways? Matt Sisler now down pit side. Looks like Drew King, who is getting the pit here, may consume that race lead unless he comes down pit road this time. Does not look like he's headed down pit road, so he'll stay out for a little bit longer, and for Drew King, he will consume the race lead from Matt Sisler. In that U.S. Postal Service number 34 ride now controls this field. He is now out in front and trying to keep everyone else back there at bay, but still has to make that green flag pit stop. As Cofield, though, made the earlier stop back on lap 100, and it's navigated him all the way up into what will be our race lead. But you do see Jack Simpson able to complete his pit stop, get back out there. Now, he kind of came down pit road on lap 111, so he has 11 lap better tires than Jonathan Cofield, and I believe it's 8 lap better tires than this 94 of Adam Boughton. So for Jack Simpson, having a solid, advantage here with these tires, and obviously now being right here with these guys, really not having to burn them up too quickly because he doesn't have a whole lot of work to do to get back to the point here this evening. And for Jack Simpson, he's hoping to use that to his advantage, as here comes the 16 of Mason Tucker right in front of him. Big block there of the 58 ride. I wasn't sure if Cofield thought he was going to make that move, if he thought he was going to drive down to his inside right there, or if that was just a block trying to keep that 24. Jack Simpson back there at bay is there picking on the Canadian, man, my fellow Canadian out there on the racetrack. Jack Simpson, the only fellow Canuck out there on the racetrack, man, and we gotta support the Canucks and stand up for them out there, man. Getting bullied here by those Americans, and we don't like that up here. That's elbows up, or at least whatever Mark Carney likes to spew out of his mouth up here in Canada, in communist Canada. So unfortunately for me and Jack Simpson, we're kind of trapped in hell up here in a absolutely communist party of Canada now, and just falling apart country. So unfortunately that's where we're at. But for Jack Simpson, he's hoping that he can keep on battling, maybe get a little bit of a bright spot here this evening, and get the dump for the Canadians here this evening, as he rolls there in position at number 1 now on the racetrack, able to steal that top spot back away from Jonathan Cofield. Back behind them, you do see Boughton still there in third, and unfortunately for Gage Wenzel, kind of all that speed that he built up and how many laps he led early on in this race, throughout that run he fell so far back that it's going to take him a lot to try to regain all that time, try to get himself back into the battle. And even if he can make up the 3-second gap between him and his teammate Jack Simpson, or even try to make up the gap to him and Boughton and Jonathan Cofield, I mean, he's going to burn up a lot of tire just trying to make up that difference, try to reel them in and put on a battle there for position number 2, where, again, even if he catches them, he may be at a disadvantage tire-wise out there on the racetrack as he catches back up to their rear bumper. But for Gage Wenzel, he's still there in 4th. Matt Sisler back in position at number 5 here on the racetrack. Richard Wolsifer's there in 6th with Dwayne Furtick in 7th. Anthony Ludi back in position number 8 with Brandon Warlick and Dalton Wicker. Our top 10 here. Rough green flag pit stop there for Dalton Wicker as he finds himself now back into that 10th position, and unfortunately quite a ways behind where he kind of was there before these green flag pit stops started to fly out there on the racetrack. It's Jeff Carson, Dallas Humans, Brian King, Brent Pennington, and Michael Carter round out our top 15. Now for Michael Carter, I believe he's the first driver 1 lap down for Fred Pennington here in this 21 ride. He is the last driver on the lead lap, but it may not be for long because Jack Simpson not too far back there behind him, man. Only a few car lengths there separating our first place driver and putting our 14th place driver, Fred Pennington, potentially a lap down out there on the racetrack, as Michael Carter currently sits as the first driver, 1 lap down. Dylan Huso, he's also a lap down, scored back in 16th. Then we do see Gavin Grubbs, Drew King. They're all 1 lap down, 2 laps down. You see Ryan Chronister there in 19th. 3 laps down is Tyler Chronister there in 20th. Doug Denise, he's even farther back here. I believe he's about 6 laps or 7 laps down. Scored back in position number 21. Corey Denka, unfortunately, came down pit road, made that green flag pit stop back around lap 107, and unfortunately just has not rolled back out onto the racetrack. So for the Tiny Toes ride, came down pit side, has now rejoined the field here. Mason Tucker, that's going to open the door for him to maybe steal another spot out there on the racetrack. Looks like Connor Fuge back down pit side. Looks like his night may be done, as Tommy Pulte, Ken Mueller, Michael Sheffield, Matt Walters, and John Osborne, looks like their nights are done here this afternoon. So we could have 5 or 6 drivers, unfortunately, down pit side and out of this race, but out in front and right now out of the reach of that 58 ride of Jonathan Cofield. Our race leader, Jack Simpson, holding on to the top spot. He's out in front. He's got himself a very sizable 1-second lead and looking to start to put a few more of these drivers either a lap down or multiple laps down out there on the racetrack, because that was our 14th place driver now, Brian King, just falling a lap down out there on the racetrack. Fred Pennington not too far away from our race leader in 13th now, who could potentially go a lap down out there on the racetrack as well. So for Simpson and Cofield, Boughton, Wenzel, these guys putting on a great show for us here this evening. And now it's such a great green flag run here where we're quickly reeling into roughly that 100-lap green flag run out there on the speedway, and that is just a testament of how good these guys have been, man. Also, we saw a few of those caution flags there on the restarts, but now that we're kind of more spread out, things have gotten a little bit more sporadic for battles out there on the racing surface, and for a lot of these drivers, obviously, having to have your car set up for the long run is make or break here. And for some drivers, they probably plan for the long run speed. Other drivers may have focused a little bit more on the short run speed, so we'll have to wait and see how that'll work out for them, as we do see the caution flag come back out. Oh, brother. All right, there it is. Yellow flag back out on the speedways. The Xfinity Mobile 10G number 19 ride of Ryan Chronister going to run into some more issues. Take a look back, see what happens here. Our race leaders battling with them. You do see the 24 to his outside, and oh my, he almost took out our race leader right there. You see that heavy front end damage already for the 19 ride. Now down the front straightaway and out of corner number 4, he hangs the left here and kind of allows the outside lane to go on by him, and then all of a sudden down into corner number 1, just looks like this thing gets tight with that damage. Just pushes up the racetrack and right into the lap of our race leader. Man, that was a very, very close call for Jack Simpson, as that almost took him out. He almost got collected in that one. Same with Cofield right here, as Cofield actually going to get in here. And I don't know if he gets, looks like he kind of gets checked up enough. The 19 still kind of on the apron on the racetrack, and I think just that conversion with the dirty apron right there kind of just loses balance there. Thing finally snaps out and around on him, and as it does, he kind of washes back up the racing surface. Everyone's trying to avoid him here, and as he's stopped there on the racetrack, that's where they throw that caution flag in for Chronister. Looks like he just takes that thing right down pit side and off the racing surface. Looks like he's actually taking it back behind pit wall and potentially out of this race as well. So heartbreaker there for him. Now for Brian King, he was in the lucky dog position, so he's going to get the free pass. The lucky dog back on the lead lap. Great break there for Brian King as everyone else down pit road, and I believe pitting here on lap 130. These guys probably are good to go on fuel. I feel like at this point, they are good to go. We've seen them run, 90 laps or so, but it really was about 70, 80 laps of a green flag run throughout that stint that these guys just put on for us. So being able to kind of go that far, I think everyone is good on fuel pitting here on lap 130, that you can make it to the end of this race without having to make another green flag pit stop, and maybe if there are some late race caution flags that you can work yourself back down pit side and use that extra set of tires or try to get some damage repaired as well, and use that to your advantage. We'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to green flag racing. It's Jack Simpson, Matt Sisler, Gage Wenzel, Dwayne Furtick, Anthony Ludi, Jeff Carson, Dalton Wicker, Brandon Warlick, Fred Pennington, Jonathan Cofield, our top 10 out there on the speedway. Richard Wolfsfer is back in position number 11 with Michael Carter there in 12th. Brian King, he's rolling back out on the speedway. He scored in the 14th or 15th position. Here is Drew King and Adam Boughton. Going to be there in 13th, 14th. Brian King will be back in 15th. Dylan Huso, first driver, one lap down. He scored back in the 16th position, hoping for another quick caution flag here on this restart to try to get the lucky dog and work his way back on the lead lap. But here we go, down through the Geico restart zone. No tire spin. Everyone able to keep their car pointing the right direction. We keep it clean and green for now as they head down through 1 and out of 2. Down the back straightaway, it is a pair of these 2410 now? The 2410 Motorsports rides out there on the racetrack. 2410 Esports rolling 1 and 2 out there on the racetrack, sitting pretty now on the speedway, and they're hoping that they can just use their pure speed to kind of work their way out in front and pull away from the rest of the pack here and keep them in their tire tracks for the rest of the night. As John O'Keefe in the chat, what's good, Sean? How are you, mister? Sean coming in, showing the love, says, go to the front, number 36. You got it. You got it, he says. Well, here he comes, looking to make the move on his teammate, Jack Simpson. Looks like Simpson had nothing for him or didn't want to push the subject here. Allows that 36 of Gage Wenzel to work his way out in front, and Gage now with the race lead, going to look to try to keep that number 24 back there at bay for the final 65 laps of this feature event. As 135 laps down, 65 more laps of racing action left to go here this evening from the Rockingham Speedway, here with the Hypershift Racing League IMB Racewear NASCAR series here this afternoon, as each and every one of these drivers, man, putting together a great show, great race for us, as we're going to jump into a quick Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Alrighty, look out as the caution flag will fly here once again out there on the speedway, as you did see riding on board there with Fred Pennington, a couple drivers tied together and going around right in front of them here, as it's the 95 of Ludi, the 3 ride of Warlick. Looks like they're going to run into some issues down and out at core number 4, as you see the 3 machine of Warlick in the AC Delco ride. Looks like he gets a little help in hand here actually from the 77 of Mr. Dalton Wicker here. Looks like Wicker gets a big run or draws into him here real quickly, as you see the Showell entry here. So the Showell entry into core number 3 for the number 3 ride is just going to push him tight up the racetrack here, and that allows the 77 just to get a good run, good drive down and out of corner number 3 and 4 here, and he drives right down to the inside of that 3 ride, and Warlick comes down to maybe try to throw a little bit of a block there or try to keep him from trying to make this pass. Unfortunately, they run in a room, they make contact, and Warlick starts to go around, and as he does, he finally starts to go around, washes down the racetrack, and right into the lap there of the 95 of Anthony Ludi. Him and Ludi tied together. They both go sideways here on the speedway, and unfortunately for the 3, bounces up into the outside fence, and so doesn't the 95 ride of Anthony Ludi. Pretty solid hit there for both drivers, as unfortunately another caution flag here, and for these cats, this is going to be a big decision to come down pit road here, and we're going to see everyone except for our top 2 make their way down pit side here. So everyone except for Jack Simpson in the 24 ride and the 15 of Brian King all came down pit side. They're the only 2 that stayed out. Everyone else came down pit road here, which is quite surprising. Honestly, this is quite interesting to see that they did end up working their way down pit road, and I fear we'd see a few more drivers maybe just trying to stay out, trying to gain a little of that track position, maybe a little bit of that clean air, but nonetheless, it'll be Matt Sisler who was the first car down pit side. He'll be the first one off pit road, and he'll get ready to restart here in position number 3. Dwayne Furtick back there in 4th with Gage Wenzel, Dalton Wicker, Jeff Carson, Jonathan Cofield, Fred Pennington, and Brandon Warlick going to round out our top 10. Drew King scored back in 11th with Michael Carter, Dylan Huso, Richard Wolsifer, Adam Boughton scored there in 15th. Dallas Humans in 16th, Gavin Grubbs in 17th, Ludi's down there in 18th, now a lap down in still parked down pit side here for himself. Tyler Chronister, Doug Denise, our top 20, ready to go back to green flag racing here as Jack Simpson, older tires for that number 24 ride. What will he do? What can he do to try to put himself, still to hold on to this track position, to stay out in front and try to put himself into victory lane as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. We'll continue on with our Peacemaker Gaming. Crank it up. So crank up that volume one more time as here we go back to green flag racing at Rockingham Speedway. Alrighty, a beautiful crank it up session here from the Rock. It is Rockingham Speedway here this evening with the Hypershift IMB Racewear NASCAR Series here this evening, as out in front it is our pole sitter, the 58 rider Jonathan Cofield, who finds his way back to the point here this evening, as prior to obviously that last caution flag, when we saw that yellow, things were a little bit more split up, as our race leader at the time, Mr. Jack Simpson, elected not to come down pit road. Either did Brian King. They started on the front row. Now for Jack Simpson, he was able to hold on to the race lead for a few more laps, but now falling back here as he's now back into the 4th position. Looks like he may lose that 4th spot here to Dalton Wicker and fall back into 5th. So I think for Jack Simpson, he's open for maybe another late race restart, another late race caution flag where he can head down pit side, maybe throw on an extra set of tires that he may have in his back pocket to race his way back to the front of the field. But obviously right now, everyone else that came down pit road virtually 22 laps after he had made his last pit stop and had virtually 20 laps of racing action on his tires. Obviously now with 20 lap older tires here compared to a lot of these other drivers, pretty much all these other drivers kind of a sit and duck out there on the speedway, as he's now falling back into that 6th position. He's going to have Warlick right down to his inside here in a quick hurry. Look back at Brian King, who was on that same strategy as the number 24 of Jack Simpson, now sits back in position number 12 out there on the speedway. We'll have to see, if this will work out into their favor late in this race. We do see another late race caution flag that could help them out and bring them right back into the hunt at the front. But as of now, the 58 rider Jonathan Cofield looking like a bit of a genius. He came down pit road, made a good pit stop. He was able to restart and race his way up and around Jack Simpson into the race lead, and finds this 58 right now with control of this feature event with only 25 laps left to go here down across the line. So 25 more laps left to go here in this feature event, and for the 58, he's got a second between himself and Gage Wenzel. Wenzel's trying to reel him in, but Dwayne Furtick's right there as well, as you do see Wenzel get up, tag that outside fence. Pretty solid contact there for that 36 ride into the outside wall, exiting corner number 2. So hopefully not too much damage or issues there for Gage Wenzel, as that may affect his ride and may hold him back from being able to chase down that 58 ride of Jonathan Cofield late in this race. Dalton Wicker up into position number 4 as Matt Sisler in that 3 birdies number 31 ride right there, rounding out our top 5 on his back bumper. And here comes Brandon Warlick in the 3 ride. Jeff Carson there in the number 9 machine sits in 7th. Jack Simpson is now fallen back into position number 8. Now lucky thing is he does have a bit of a gap here between himself and Richard Wolsifer, but Wolsifer is going to be hunting him down here in a quick hurry. And right there with him you see Dylan Huso as there's contact. Look out, Huso up and into the outside fence. Pretty solid contact there for the 33. He'll wash down onto the apron here, and I believe no caution flag. No yellow flag here for the 33 ride. It will stay clean and green. Our leaders are going to go by him. He is going to go a lap down, and it looks like he is going to try to get rolling here back out on the speedway, but you can see that these tires are not pointed in the same direction, and it's going to be very tricky for this 33 ride to work his way back down pit side here. It looks like he may even just pull it farther down onto the apron, trying to make sure that he does not bring this caution flag out. He is struggling trying to get it down pit side here. And for Jonathan Cofield, Gage Wenzel, Dwayne Furtick, they do not want to see this late race caution flag. They do not want to see something happen and Dylan Huso bring this caution out, as he does get stopped there on the apron. Looks like he is gonna sit there for a little bit. I'm not sure if he's gonna tow this thing down pit road or not. He's just gonna sit there for a little while longer. And tough break there for Dylan Huso. Obviously contact here. He finally does make it down pit side. Let's take a look back at it, as it looks like maybe gets checked up a little bit for the Stance Built 56 of Richard Wolsifer on corner entry, and the 18 of Michael Carter gets a good run and just drives up and unfortunately gets into that left rear quarter panel of the 33. Ryan kind of hooks him sideways as he's spinning. He bounces back off of that number 18 ride, and then up into the outside fence, back down the racetrack into the inside fence, and not stop there on the racing surface. Does not get the caution flag, so a bit of a heartbreaker there for Dylan Huso as Gage Wenzel is running in that second position. We do apologize again. The overlay just does not want to work here this afternoon. Unfortunately, the overlay decided that it didn't want to cooperate here this evening. It's working fine in my files and everything else, so I think it's a server issue with SDK that's kind of messed up here, and unfortunately just have not been able to get it to pop up and actually work for us here in this one, which has been mad annoying. It's been very, very annoying, and unfortunately it just has not worked for us here this evening. Gage Wenzel sits there in position number 2 right now on the speedway, but Dwayne Furtick not too far off his back bumper as the 51 is there. He has reeled him in. He is showing some some good pressure here to Gage Wenzel, but Gage is not going to back down. He's going to try to hold on to this second spot as long as he can to try to keep this 51 of Furtick back there at bay, and this is exactly what Cofield wants to see. He loves to see it here as these guys struggle a little bit back behind him, and maybe the 36 slowing down the 51 ride ever so slightly has allowed Jonathan Cofield to open up a solid 2-second gap now between himself and this 36 ride of Gage Wenzel with only 15 laps left to go. 14 this time by the start-finish line. A 2-second lead may be all that Cofield needs to find his way up and into victory lane here at Rockingham, and for our pole sitter to be able to jump up and into the winner's circle here this afternoon would be a huge blessing there for that race car. And it's looking beautiful out there on the racetrack, and he's looked very, very strong throughout this race. So for Cofield, looking good here late in it, and finding a late race caution flag, man, so far probably has the winning strategy, as we do see, oh no, Jack Simpson has ran into an issue as well. Looks like Jack Simpson has actually gotten the disqualification flag here. Heartbreaker for Jack Simpson. Looks like he has been DQ'd in the 24 ride. Is no longer out there on the racetrack. I don't know if he ran into an issue, if he ended up making contact with somebody or something, but it does show that he's got that black flag with the white cross through it, so I believe he is being parked here, and a heartbreaker there for that 24 of Jack Simpson here this evening. But for Jonathan Cofield, that's another tough challenger, somebody maybe late in this race that could have put a challenge against him here late in this one, and obviously for Cofield, he's just hoping that this stays clean and green, man. He's got 11 laps left to go. He's still stretching out that race lead between himself and Gage Wenzel. It's now about 2.4 seconds between first and second out there on the racetrack. You see Furtick, unfortunately, just has not been able to mount a challenge and actually has fallen a little farther back away from Gage Wenzel, so doesn't look like he's really working his way forward and may just kind of settle in for position number 3 here this evening. They got a bit of a gap back to our 4th place driver, Dalton Wicker, as the Tiny Toe 77 ride rolls there in 4th. Matt Sisler back in 5th. Jeff Carson in 6th with Michael Carter back in 7th. Brandon Warlick there in 8th. Richard Wolsifer back in 9th with Brian King. They're rounding out our top 10. Adam Boughton, Drew King, Fred Pennington, our top 13 out there on the speedway. And for Fred Pennington, he's the last driver on the lead lap, but you do see our race leader not too far off their back bumper. Pennington and Drew King here, maybe even Boughton not too far away from potentially all going to lap down out there on the racetrack is Jonathan Cofield. Reeling them in a quick hurry is down across the line. He clicks off another lap, and it's 8 laps left to go here in this feature event. So 8 more laps left to duke it out here, and for Gage Wenzel, unfortunately, seen that lead grow to about 3 seconds now between him and our race leader. So for Wenzel, just trying to hang on now to position number 2. I'm sure he probably wouldn't mind a solid 2nd place run here at Rockingham. Obviously being able to dodge any of those bullets and obviously rebound from early contact on that first wreck of the day on our initial start of the evening. And for Gage Wenzel, sitting out in front, well, sitting out in 2nd here, but kind of has a little bit of clean air now. I mean, the 58 at Cofield's far enough in front of him that it's kind of like clean air here for Gage Wenzel. Obviously, Cofield just broken away from him and starting to put more of these drivers a lap down as he will make the pass here and put the 21 of Fred Pennington. You saw the 34 get up into the outside fence as well. So there he goes around the 34 right at Drew King. So our 13th and 12th place drivers both go a lap down here to our race leader. And for Cofield, he was lucky right there that neither of those drivers that got up into the outside fence and made contact with them or went around there to bring out a late race caution flag. But now only 11 drivers left on the lead lap here this evening. And for Jonathan Cofield, he's inching into the checkered flag here this evening with a 3.2 6-second lead between himself and Gage Wenzel, and it looks like that lead may continue to grow here as down the straightaway it's actually grown to about 3.5 seconds. So really good fourth and third corner right there for Cofield. Unfortunately for Wenzel, really had to let out of the throttle, and unfortunately for that 36 ride, it is now 3.5 seconds between himself and our race leader. And now, nice and easy at a corner number 4, back down across the line. Only 3 more laps left to go here for Jonathan Cofield, as Cofield looking to pick up the checkered flag here at Rockingham Speedway. Man, he just does not want to see a late race caution flag. Just needs to hit his marks, not make any big mistakes, open up that door for Wenzel or Furtick or any of these guys to reel him back in. As a lot of these drivers that are already multiple laps down are being cordial. They're moving up and out of the way here as our race leader sees the 2 to go here. 2 laps left to go here in this feature event as the 58, nice and easy, down the back straightaway here at the Rock, down into corner number 3. Nice and easy, down and out at corner number 4, and headed back to the line. No late race yellows as we will see the white flag fly. So the white flag is displayed our final time around here this evening for Jonathan Cofield. Cofield looking to just, maybe sit a little patiently here. There's a gaggle of cars right in front of him he may not want to poke his nose into, as Cofield for the final time down through 3. Nice and easy out of corner number 4. It is our pole sitter who gets it done. Jonathan Cofield picks up the dub here at Rockingham Speedway and gets the win, man. He pulls himself up and into victory lane. What a run, what a drive there for the 58 of Jonathan Cofield, as he'll celebrate here this evening in that Shotco Springs number 58 ride. He'll get ready to burn down the house here as Gage Wenzel comes home in second. Dwayne Furtick rounds out our top 3 here this evening. Dalton Wicker, Matt Sisler, the top 5 out there on the racetrack with Jeff Carson, Michael Carter, Brandon Warlick, Richard Wolsifer, and Brian King. Our top 10 out there on the speedway. But the 58 ride, Jonathan Cofield gets it done and picks up the dub here in this one, man. What a run, what a drive, what a performance there. Mr. Cofield, man, we can't wait to get him and the rest of our top 3 up here into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews. Post-race interviews gonna come up next as we'll get them up here into the booth as the Deadass Racing number 58 ride, man. What a performance, what a drive for him here in this one, man. As that was a great show, a great race, an amazing battle out there on the speedway, and honestly, up and down day for a lot of these drivers, and some of them making some good rebounds, battling back and having to battle through traffic, and all of a sudden here late in the race, I mean, it was just that pit stop, that final pit stop during the caution flag back on lap 152, that kind of was the difference maker. And I think if you look back at drivers like maybe Jack Simpson, I mean, I don't know if maybe he didn't have any more tires, or maybe if he did have an extra set that he was just hoping for another late race caution flag and never got it. But nonetheless, we'll get him up here into the broadcast booth as Cofield gets the dub. Let's get him up here into the winner's circle right now. Hey, Jonathan, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Jonathan, man, what a run, what a drive for you here this evening, man, as you're able to find your way, obviously, into the pole position here this evening. You're able to lead the first few laps under that caution flag. Quickly, you see that 36 of Gage Wenzel get in front of you, and then it kind of seemed like you were kind of content, just kind of being patient out there for a while, not really pushing the subject, not making huge moves out there. Kind of got shuffled back through some of that pitch strategy early on, and then, you know, late in this race, it was down to that pitch strategy again, and all of a sudden you find yourself, you know, restarting in third here on that final restart, able to get around Brian King and the 24 rather quickly. You jump out in front, and then it's all about just being patient, hitting your marks, and you're able to slowly but surely pull away from Gage Wenzel and put yourself up here into victory lane at Rockingham Speedway, man. Take us back through it and what's going through your mind.
Yeah, man, just awesome to get a win. Yeah, I was going to save a set of tires in case we had a few cautions. I know off two, you know, a lot of guys getting in the wall. That's a bad spot, especially if you're too wide. But just expecting some cautions and trying to save a set. But you know, I saved that set and everybody pitted and I fell back and then I could keep up with everybody. I was like, well, maybe the tires don't matter that much after all. They were 88% when I come in to get fuel only, and then through that run when everybody was pitting, I started getting my tire warning, so I had to pit a little earlier than I wanted to, but it all worked out. Really had a fast car all night, set the pole like I said. Just a fun race, man.
Yeah, fun race. Obviously, a little bit of mayhem, a little bit of chaos out there. Restarts were a little hectic there as we ran into some tire spin out there on the racetrack. And luckily enough for yourself, you're able to dodge majority of the bullets and keep yourself out of any of that carnage and able to keep all four tires and all four fenders pointed in the right direction here in that 58 ride as you park it up and into victory lane. Here this evening, Jonathan, who'd you like to thank for such a great run and strong performance out there on the Speedway?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank all my teammates and, of course, you for doing the broadcast. Finna go back and watch it right now. Just everybody here at Hypershift, man, really enjoy being here. Thank you to Anthony for letting me come hang out with you guys on Thursday nights. We've got Chaco Springs on the car. Appreciate them for giving me a paycheck every Friday. Sim Shop, you need some, they got Moses stuff, some Magic stuff, type in Bandits and save you a little money. And Lions 3D Designs.
Beauty. Well, Jonathan, great run, great race, brother. Congratulations on the dub here this evening. We look forward to seeing you back in action again next Thursday and maybe right back up here in Victory Lane.
Yeah, man. Hope so. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane.
Thank you, buddy.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Jonathan Cofield, as Cofield gets it done here in this one and parks the 58 up and in to the winner's circle here this evening as we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher, the number 36, Gage Wenzel. Hey, Gage, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Gage, man, solid run, solid drive for you here this evening, brother. Take us back through this one and all the mayhem, all the chaos here this afternoon. You got it tied up there, obviously, in that initial wreck on the opening start of this feature event, and obviously didn't get too much damage out of it. You're able to stick with it, and right on that ensuing restart, you're able to quickly get after Cofield, take the race lead from him, lead quite a bit of laps here for the first 80 laps, 90 laps of this feature event. Then all of a sudden it seemed like the car started to fall off and they were kind of playing catch up from that point, trying to reel these guys back in. Some different late race pitch strategy. Finds yourself jumping up here into second, able to work your way around your teammate Jack Simpson as he was falling back. You were moving forward. You got to Cofield's back bumper. You hung there for a while, and then eventually it seemed like the tire started to fall off for you, and Cofield just started to pull away and had nothing left there in the tank for the 58 ride, and just enough to be able to hold off the 51.
Yeah, I mean, I knew I was so fast. I mean, once I had control, it was fine. But the reason the first run we fell off, I mean, I had 30 lap older tires and everyone else that whole run. We were able to hang on to the lead, but once I hit like the 20 lap, final 20, the tires were dead. I thought I was going to blow one. And then I was actually fine if it went green. I think I still would have been up there to win. And then the dumb caution came out. Cycled. I got the lead there in that one restart with like 60 to go with Jack. I had a fun fight there. And then another yellow. And then what happened there? Oh, I took 4. I took 4 tires, and that's what did it. I mean, you just can't fucking pass. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Can't pass here. Um, it's just you just can't. And yeah, I burnt my stuff up trying to get through the field, trying to use the 4, and the 4 don't do anything different than the 2, and I'm on like 20, 30 lap older left, so I don't know. It was the wrong call. But yeah, I should have won this race. I mean, but I don't know. Just wrong calls every time. The first call and that last call. So I really wish we would have had one more yellow because I saved the set for that reason, and we just never got one.
Yeah, tough break there. Obviously, hoping to use that final setup, hoping that that would, put you maybe into the winner's circle here this evening. But at the end of the day, still a very solid run and a great point stay here for you as you park it up here in position number 2 at Rockingham Speedway. Gage, who would you like to thank for a solid second place run here this evening?
Yeah, first and foremost, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Easter was last weekend, so a big deal, It's kind of a big deal. Obviously, my whole family, my girlfriend who's watching, I think, at work, so that's not good. But all my family and sponsors on the car, Tom's Tasty Taters. We had the camo scheme on. Fishing season's coming, so you got to get your walleye. 313 SimWear got new merch for us there as well. He did a great job there. Everyone else on the car. 2410. We were fast tonight. Jack probably deserved better. We just didn't make good pit calls there at the end, I guess. And then he got DQ'd with contact with a 51. So, but it's a good race, and thank you up here in the booth and everyone out here. I just wish there was one spot higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Always looking for that one extra spot and looking to trying to put yourself back up into victory lane. Unfortunately, just one spot shy here this evening, but still a hell of a run, a hell of a drive and performance for us here this afternoon as we enjoyed you battling out there on the speedway here in the broadcast booth, and for all the fans in the stands as you park the 36 here in second. Gage, congrats on the great run, and we look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack again next Thursday.
Yep, see you there.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You as well.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there to our second place finisher, Gage Wenzel, as Wenzel comes home in position number 2. As Emma says, shh, I'm not at work. She says, oh God, not at work, not at work. Yep, not at work. 100%. As we get ready now to pull in our third place finisher here, Dwayne Furtick. Furtick comes home in third. Let's get him up here into the booth. Hey, Dwayne, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad, Dwayne, man. Great run, great drive for you here this evening. Obviously, we saw you, battling hard here up inside the top 3, top 5 for a lot of the first half of this race. And then you get a little tangled up there. You go for a bit of a slide at one point. You fall deep in this field, but luckily enough, you're able to, keep it together, keep it rolling. Didn't look like you got too much damage on the 51 machine, and able to just keep on battling your way back up here towards the front and late in this race. Put on a great battle and a great show here inside the top 5, jumping back up into third and trying to battle there with that 36 right at Gage Wenzel for position number 2 in the closing laps, but unfortunately just did not quite have enough to make another challenge and another charge to get around him there in those closing laps. But man, a hell of a show for you, and a hell of a rebound from what could have been potentially an early exit to this race after getting kind of sideways and then bouncing off the wall.
Yeah, it was a pretty good night. Had some hiccups here and there, like you mentioned, but fought back, and came out with a top 3. So, a really great finish. So,
yeah, really great finish to what could have been a very tough night out there on the speedway, and obviously just sticking with it, not giving up, not putting yourself down, just always digging here to try to gain and keep yourself in the battle, and you're able to pull out another very solid run here in that 51 ride after, it's been obviously a pretty good season for you so far, man. A few wins, a lot of podiums here. It definitely off to a pretty hot start here for the season with the Hypershift Racing Series.
yeah, I mean, the car was lights out, and just huge thanks to my air teammates, John and Matt. Incredible guys. John spotted for us tonight. Wasn't able to actually make the race tonight, but total team effort. And Matt also had a great finish as well. think both of us finished in the top 5. And, with these things, you kind of, you win, you got to win with grace and you got to lose with grace as well. So with that being said, I'd like to just, congratulate Jonathan Cofield. He did a tremendous job. He kept it clean, and congratulate him on the win,
Yeah, great run for him. Great W here at Rockingham for the 58 ride, but still a very, very good third-place performance for the 51 machine here this evening. Dwayne, who would you like to thank for another great run and great performance out there on the racetrack?
Well, obviously, thanks to the admins. They do an amazing job. Adam and Ludi. They're class guys, man. Just huge thanks to them. Huge thanks to what you do in the booth, man. You keep it very exciting. I always love going back and watching the replays just to hear your voice and have you call the race. And so, very huge thanks to you as well, man.
I appreciate that, brother. No better place to be on a Thursday night than up here in the broadcast booth, getting to watch you guys do your thing out there on the racetrack. Dwayne, congrats again on the third place run, brother, and hopefully we'll see you right back up here in the broadcast booth again next Thursday night, maybe a couple spots better, and back up into victory lane for the 51 machine.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You have a great evening.
You as well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Dwayne Furtick. His Furtick comes home in position number 3 here this evening. Solid run, solid drive here for all of these drivers here this afternoon, man. These guys put together an epic show, an epic race for us out there on the speedway, as we do have the standings there. It may be really, really small. I don't know if there's a way that I can make that any bigger so you guys can kind of see the official standings out there, but yeah, Cofield with the W. Gage Wenzel coming home in second. Dwayne Furtick there in third. Dalton Wicker, Matt Sisler, Jeff Carson, Michael Carter, Brandon Warlick, Richard Wolsifer, and Brian King rounding out our top 10 here this evening. Boughton, Paddington, Drew King, Dallas Humans, Gavin Grubbs, Tyler Chronister, Doug Denise, Anthony Ludi, Jack Simpson, and Dylan Huso round out the top 20 out there on the speedway with Ryan Chronister, Corey Dank, Mason Tucker, Connor Fuge, Tommy Polte, Kent Mueller, Michael Sheffield, John Osborne, and Matt Walters rounding out the field here this evening. As unfortunately, that's going to do it for us here this evening, man. We can't thank you guys enough for tuning in and showing the love, and we'll see you guys back in here in the grandstands again tomorrow night. We got some more racing action here tomorrow evening, but we will also be right back here again with the Hypershift IMB NASCAR Series again next Thursday night, man. It's the IMB Racewear NASCAR Series, man. Always a great show. Always amazing race. We're going to make sure we can get this SDK working. I'm going to shoot them a message here and see if it's a server issue on their end or what may have changed here between last night to tonight, where it worked perfectly fine last night. Tonight, it just does not want to work. So, again, we apologize for not having that overlay up for you guys to be able to see, the laps and where drivers are running and standings and everything else and the gap there between each driver, and we wish we would have had that working, as it not only makes our job a little bit easier, but also gives you guys that enjoyment of being able to see where everyone's kind of at out there on the speedway. So we do apologize that did not want to work for us here this afternoon, but we'll make sure that's fixed up and working fine again next Thursday for us, and obviously hopefully tomorrow night for us as well for our next race, our next broadcast. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you back in here again tomorrow night. Peace out, chat. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.